Hey everyone, John from Nintendo Life here, and this is probably the backdrop you're used to seeing, but this room, let me tell you, is more than one wall. There are 2 walls, and 3 walls, and 4 walls. It is a bit of a mess at the moment, but excuse that, because today I want to talk a bit about collecting. The second-hand market has gone out of control in recent years, and some platforms, like the NES, aren't fun to collect for anymore. If you look at YouTube videos dating back to like 2007, they'll say, hey, this game was $5 or $10, and that just isn't the case anymore. I put this down here for later to prove a point, but for now, let's talk about NES games. So this one over here, Ice Climber, I got on Famicom, because Ice Climber on NES is an unreasonable price for what it is. Ice Climber as a game is pretty mediocre in my opinion, and not worth spending that much money on. So instead of spending 40, 50 pounds, I spent 5 getting the Famicom cartridge. And I was pretty lucky to get a few of these in their time, as in before the big retro boom. But NES just isn't a good platform to buy games for anymore. Even the most basic stuff, most common stuff, is expensive, unreasonably so. So for a lot of games you can just buy the Famicom version. And so to make up for that, I've had to buy multi-region consoles. I like playing games on their original hardware. So games like Super Famicom games I've got here, Super Nintendo, the American one, we have multi-region N64, Japanese GameCube, Japanese Wii. So to make up for all these games I've had to buy other hardware. But I actually don't have a Famicom at the moment. So because I have many ways of playing Ice Climber, like on Virtual Console or the NES Mini, I was happy just to have that game, rather than going out and buying the hardware necessary to play it. But this brings a broader point. So let's go to Super Nintendo a moment. As you can see here, these aren't all my Super Nintendo games, but it's a big chunk of them. Some up here like Super Metroid, which has fallen down, is also Japanese. And I actually owned this in English, in PAL, for the longest time. But when I was at university, I said to myself, I'm a bit low on money, and a lot of these games are the exact same in Japanese, only cheaper. So I ended up trading in many of my English games and getting Japanese alternatives. And Super Metroid's far from the only one. So we have games like, let's see, Donkey Kong Country. I actually got a bundle of DK 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. And I paid, I think, £15 for all 3 of these. Whereas I sold my English DKC1 for, I want to say £30. So I saved money getting more games. And it's the case with many of them. Super Mario Kart, another one, I had in English, but I got the Japanese version instead. Also games like Kirby Fun Pack, which you probably know better as Kirby Superstar. This is ridiculous in English, whereas in Japanese, it's so cheap. Mega Man X, another one. Rockman X, we've also got Rockman X3 around here somewhere. Where are you at? It's somewhere in there. There it is, there she is. So, with these games, yes, there is dialogue. Yes, there is story, but I don't think it's as important as the gameplay. So I'm willing to sacrifice those story elements for the cheaper price. And I can still enjoy the gameplay. And keep in mind too, PAL games run at 50 Hz. So Yoshi's Island over here, this is inferior to the Japanese version. It's more expensive, and it runs slower. F-Zero 2, I have this in PAL, runs slower than any other version. So you're just having a worse time. And yeah, there are some games here, like Final Fantasy, we got 4, 5, and 6 over here. And I have these for collection purposes, I don't speak Japanese. But some games I do buy in English, like Earthbound, Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger. RPGs as a whole are, of course, better with English language. But some games I'm happy to play elsewhere and just own the cartridge. And an example of that is all the way over here, Dragon Quest. So I own the Famicom versions boxed of 2, 3, and 4. And I've played these on other platforms. I played 4 on DS, and I played 1, 2, and 3 on Switch. And I own the physical NES version of 1. But I got this in a bundle, all 3 of them, for £18. And while 3 is a little bit showing some wear, 4 and 2 are in really good condition. And I paid very little for these. I just wanted to own them in a physical form. And I was happy to just have the cartridges, because I'm not a box collector. but the fact that these were so cheap, I had to go for it. And I think this just kind of demonstrates how well Japanese people value what they have over what we do in many instances. Because let's go over here a moment. As I was saying, I'm not much of a box collector, but I have a few boxes in English, like Pilot Wings, which is definitely showing wear. Star Wings a bit better, but as a whole, if you go on eBay, you'll find many games aren't that different in price between boxed and just loose, but the conditions too are usually really, really good. Like Pound Upon over here is in really good condition. So to demonstrate this a bit better, let's go to eBay and just compare some of these prices and see how cheap some of these Japanese games really are compared to their English counterparts. Okay, so here we are on eBay, and don't worry, this isn't my postcode, this is a Domino's pizza in London that I just put in there. So to look for Earthbound, we first have to go through a bunch of fakes. That's one thing you've got to weed your way through. But here we are, an actual legit copy is around £300, ignoring import costs as well, because it's American only. Another one, around 300 plus. So it costs quite a bit to get a legit American copy of Earthbound. But let's say we want Mother 2, this just put in Famicom, even though it's Super Famicom, and we'll go to Worldwide to ignore any English sellers, which it's already on. We'll find a Japanese copy. Let's see. So for a loose cartridge, it's around £17. Actually, no, this one. This is Mother 2 and Fire Emblem, bundled together for £15, which is nuts. This one here is just the manual, but yeah, finding a box copy of Mother 2 is gonna set you back, it looks like around £40 to £50, which has gone up from recent years, but it's still really good compared to the £300 that it's gonna cost you to get a loose Earthbound. And just to properly compare, what is boxed Earthbound? What does that cost? There we go, £700. Big box in a tray only. This doesn't have the cartridge or the actual book that came with it. So that's absurd. That's how much people are paying. Let's try and find a full, complete one. Here we are, here's one. Fully complete. This is Earthbound. Fully complete with the game, the box, the guide. And it's set by someone back $1,600 versus the £40 for Mother 2 boxed. Madness. Now, it has been a few years since I've bought some of these games, so let's see how much DKC is going for on the Super Nintendo. It doesn't seem extreme, like DKC 3, £22, £17 for just DKC 1. So these aren't crazy, they're around £20 each, so it'll cost you about £60 to get the trilogy. But if we type in Super Donkey Kong, we'll look at what Japanese people are charging. And there you go, DKC 1, £7. It's half the price. Let's see what else they've got. Here, this one's £19, and it's fully boxed for Super Donkey Kong. And it's a nice box art. And this is about what it costs to get a loose English cart. And again, this game doesn't require language whatsoever. There's no story with dialogue in there. Let's try and find the full set. There you go, you can see my Domino's London postcode thing there. Alright, here we go. I typed in Super Donkey Kong 1, 2, 3, and we can get them all fully boxed. In fact, it goes lower. Fully boxed for lower than what we can get the English ones loose. And let's take a look at these. These are pretty good condition. Yeah, there you go. They're fully boxed. They've got their manuals, all the cartridges look in pristine condition. Look at that. I mean, it's blurry, but you can tell the colour is flawless. And again, this is cheaper to get all of these than it is to get just the loose trilogy in English. And language doesn't matter. This is ridiculous! Look, someone in France is selling the Japanese versions for the cost of one lone English version of these DKC games. Alright, how about Metroid? Super's on a lot of people's radars right now, and it seems a loose copy is around £40. This is a pretty good. This is a good one. £28 for a important redescription. What's wrong with this? It's a reproduction, so it doesn't count. So it looks like £40 is around £45 is around the going rate for a loose Super Metroid, and a box seems like hundreds. 200. Let's see what else is in there. 300. So yeah, box is going to set you back quite a bit. But what about a Super Famicom version? Well, let's just do the usual, type in Famicom after, and there you go right there. Almost half the price, £25 for Super Metroid. And again, this is fully in English. There's no Japanese text in there. So you are not getting a worse experience. You're getting a better experience, because the PAL one is in 50 Hz. But let's try and find a box. What's the cheapest Japanese boxed Super Metroid? There's quite a few cartridges. Go to the next page. So here we go. Again, it costs in the late hundreds to £200 in English. Costs £56 in Japanese. So you're definitely getting... And the box art, let's be honest, the box art is way better in Japanese. That's a delicious box. I want to go even further. Let's keep diving in. How about Zero Mission? Is Zero Mission cheaper in Japanese? Finding legit Game Boy Advance games is tough. I know Zero Mission's worth quite a bit now, but you'll see a lot of these are fake. They're quite clearly fake. Let's try and find a legit one. Well, in my search for finding a legit one, I found the Japanese one, which still, it's not cheap. £60 is a lot. But I've still not found a legit English one. God, you've got to scroll for a while. How expensive is Zero Mission now? I paid like £15 like 10 years ago. So these look real. Around 80 to nearly £100. So it's there you go. There's a legit English one for £110. Damn, is it worth that much? God! So the Japanese one is not reasonable, but it is definitely more reasonable than it is to get an English one. And do we go past a box before? Yeah, there's a... Oh, that's this box only. That's fine. There, fully boxed, £86. What's the cheapest fully boxed English Zero Mission? How long do we scroll for? You can get both Zero Mission and Fusion before we can find a fully boxed English one. There you go. £180. So you could buy... I mean, Fusion does have text, so I'm not sure that I would recommend playing in Japanese. But you could still buy both boxed versions for cheaper than just the English Zero Mission boxed. Gah! Kirby 64 is a game that doesn't require text, and as you can see here, it's dirt cheap in Japanese. £8. £8. How much is an English one? I know it's expensive because I bought the Japanese one over the English one. So in America, doesn't cost much. In PAL, though, it does cost quite a bit. So let's keep scrolling until we find an English one. Here we go, some PAL ones. So to get it from Spain, it's £91. To get it from Germany, it's £81 plus postage costs. And I think this is the first English one, as in the first one from the UK, and it's boxed at £150. So it's definitely cheaper in America, but it's pennies, it's crumbs in the Japanese one. And the same is true for Kirby Superstar, which is called Kirby Fun Pack here, and I forget the Japanese name. So let's just type in Kirby Super Famicom and see what comes up. So this is Kirby Dream Course for £7, and this is Superstar, Super Deluxe it's called there, £8. How much is Kirby Superstar, or Kirby Fun Pack, in Europe? And actually the game wasn't as expensive as I remembered, maybe I'm thinking of Superstar. Here we go, so we've got a delightful boxed one for £41, and by the way, it goes cheaper than that. There were fully boxed ones down here for £38. Or you can get a loose American cartridge for £46. How long do we scroll until we find a fully boxed American one? That's the English one. Let's see, where are you? Here we go, £266! And by the way, Dreamland 3 is another one. Dreamland 3 is a pretty expensive one. Dreamland 3 in Japan, around £20. This one's £16 plus postage. Dreamland 3 outside of Japan though. America, £111. Ridiculous! Kirby doesn't speak to us. Some menus may be in English. It doesn't matter. The gameplay of Kirby is pretty self-explanatory. So the point I'm trying to make is the Japanese market is they not only take better care of their products, their cartridges look more clean. Their boxes are pristine. Look at this one. This is a regular £30 one. It's not very expensive. The box is a bit tattered. It's not too bad though. Cartridge, lovely. They kept the plastic. They kept the manual. Everything looks good. And oftentimes when I buy from Japanese sellers, they usually include like a little note, a written note saying thank you, or one included origami. No one from the UK has given me origami, or a thank you note for buying their things. I think this is just a much healthier market, not only in prices, in quality, but also in manners. It's all just delightful. Whereas a lot of NES games, they are not fun to collect for. Like Zelda. Zelda is one of the best-selling NES games. How much do you think Zelda costs? Well, the answer is, for a PAL version, £65. Zelda 2's a bit cheaper, £180 boxed. This is one of the most common NES games there is. And it's crazy how much it is. And then you get just a regular Famicom one. Again, not cheap, but way, way more affordable. And this also came in a disc system form too, so it can be a different price depending on what you go for. But it's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. So I hope that this gave you a bit of light on just buying habits. There's no need to just go for the English version all the time. In fact, I often myself go for other regions, and not necessarily just in Japanese, but sometimes with games like Dragon Quest, I will go for the I'll go for like a Spanish or Italian version because they're multi-language. They'll be in English anyway, even if the box isn't. And my version of Dragon Quest VII is also it's Australian, which is the same region code as Europe. And it makes no difference, it's just cheaper. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below, and do you shop around in different regions too? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye everyone.